So let me go through the syllabus because now I'm talking to students in both departments, and I may refer to there's civil and construction engineering students, but it's also applicable to us or the other way around. So for the industrial management class, it will be Monday from 9 to 12 o'clock. Okay, which is 10 minutes earlier so that we have more buffer around noontime. Okay, just 10 minutes earlier. And it will be here. Okay. But for civil and construction engineering student, it will be IB 601-2. Okay. And I will be the instructor. I'm a professor at the industrial management department. As I said, I've been teaching this course long time ago for some period of time, and just picked it up recently since about 3 years ago. So this is the third time I'm teaching this course to our undergraduate students. I'm also in this case serving more like an adjunct professor at civil and construction engineering department, teaching this course for them. My office is on the second floor of the MA management building, and MA 217. You can find me there, or you can reach me by my email, school email, SYCHOU, and the rest of them will be the school address. And yeah, my phone number. Well, later we'll probably talk about it. You can email me, or some of the students do send me a line message. So probably very few people use phone anymore, but that's my official phone number at my office. And Dr. Snow, she obtained her PhD from our department and has been a postdoctoral research fellow at our department, and she has been helping up with the class, including sometimes helping me to give lectures in the class. So she will be joining this class, providing help. Okay, she's sitting over there. So the learning objective. Okay, learning objective of this course. I think engineering economics or engineering economy. Personally, I feel that it's very similar to finance, but with different purposes. Here, there's engineering in front, so you can imagine that we are dealing with a lot of engineering problems. For example, for industrial management, we'll be looking at a lot of issues in the factories. So in the factory, we'll look at various decisions, such as whether or not we want to fix the machine or we want to replace the machine. That's a question that you will encounter a lot when you work for the company. Maybe we can also think of something more simple. For engineering economy, basically we are teaching a lot of issue about comparing with the value of money. Is it maybe you are thinking that we just add them together and compare? Right? What is the difficulty of that? But in fact, the biggest issues of the money is money represent different value at different time. $1 now is not the same as $1 10 years ago or 10 years after. So you have to understand how to model this kind of difference so that you can manage financial analysis over an extended period of time. You can think of borrowing some money from a bank and paying the interest of the money for the money. Right? So essentially, the money that you borrow will be equivalent to the money you return and the interest you paid. So that can be calculated. Banks may provide you different interest rate. You can calculate whether or not, or very strange different repay schedule. Then you can compare which one is more beneficial to you. And also, I think a lot of students in Taiwan, let's say, bought a motorcycle or are going to buy motorcycle or motorbike. So there could be different payment schemes. One will be just pay everything. The other will be you will pay by installments, many installments. And sometimes it's difficult to compare. Right? If the seller provide one installment, which is like 6 months in 6 installment, or 24 months different installment. So which one is more beneficial to you? Although we say that they are equivalent, but based on our personal financial situation, sometimes we can afford one over the other. But essentially, we can compute and estimate which one is more beneficial and which one you can afford. Then you can make your decision. Another example which is more relevant to you is you can, I think in the past, or at least maybe 10 years ago, people always say education is an investment. Right? It is an investment because when you are having your education, you are not making money. Right? You may need to pay for your education. So unless education pay back somehow, then education should not be considered an investment. I mean, with tangible issues, I think that's what we can compute. Intangible issues, I think education is always good. It helps you in many ways. But a tangible issue, meaning that whether or not financially it is an investment, it's worthwhile to have an education. I think in Taiwan for sure it is, because the higher education cost is quite low, and I think up until now we see the cases where after the education it changed an individual's potential in career. But in countries like US, in fact, this is what I read probably early last year. In one article, it says that higher education is no longer an investment. This is too costly. You will never be able to recover the cost you put in, or you lost the money that you can earn. You lost. Right? It doesn't provide you that much edge, that much advantage financially in the situation of the US. But US, UK, and maybe Australia, these are English-centric countries. Their education fee is very high for various reasons. But in Europe, in Taiwan, in Japan, or in many other countries, higher education is still relatively, higher education cost is still relatively low. So I think for sure it is still a relatively good investment. So that's some kind of financial issue that we'll be dealing with, not just for our job, also for our daily lives. You can calculate literally whether or not higher education will be an investment. You can make all kinds of assumptions. You can assume that after you got your bachelor's degree or your master's degree, what will be your starting salary and how your salary will be raised over 25, 30 your case is probably 35, 40 years of work, right? You can calculate that. And you can make all kinds of assumptions on interest rate in different situations so that you get a better understanding of whether or not it's worthwhile to get a master's degree or a PhD degree. And for sure, nowadays I would say that getting a PhD doesn't pay back that much. It's 4 years. Too late for snow. It's still good. In the past, a lot of job opportunities, but now in Taiwan, there are just very few job opportunities for PhDs. So it's very difficult for them to find jobs. And in fact, a lot of people working in university are losing their jobs now. So so our objective is helping you to do this so-called time-based economic analysis. Time-based. But the critical point is the value of the money will be different at different time, and we should be able to estimate, to compare, and to make decision or make choices based on those values. And usually, we'll be facing different alternatives, and we want to compare them objectively, which means that objectively, which means that we want to just treat them with a more neutral, objective way, which is financial way, and see which one provide better financial advantage. And basically, we will follow typical textbook. I think most of the textbook on engineering economy are very similar. The only difference, or there are some differences. One will be they will be giving different cases, different examples. Another difference is the symbols, the equation will look a little bit different, but the essence behind them, the precise description behind them will be the same. Okay. All of them are the same. So if you are used to a certain system, I'm not sure if you had exposure in the past. If you are used to a specific system, you can just follow that system. Okay. Otherwise, in the textbook or in the PPT, I will be also sharing with you follow one system. Again, they are the same, just that some of them use different symbols, different representations. So sometimes it's difficult to respond immediately, or sometimes you will get confused. So it's better to follow just one system. Okay, just follow one system. Not necessarily that it's good or bad, it's just one system so that you can easily understand, easily react to different situation. The textbook is a very famous one. It's by William Sullivan and others. As you can tell that the 16th edition was published in 2014. At least we have the 17th edition. Again, most of these editions are very similar. It's just that the cases could be different. The example could be different. Okay, the cases will be different. And the textbook is available in Taiwan. So if you are interested in getting it, you can purchase from, I don't remember the bookstore, or in the library. There are still some copies you can check out from the library. I think most of the contents will be covered by the PPT, by the slides. So you can also follow the logic of the slide. I think the slide will give you a more structured understanding of the contents. But a lot of details, you still need to read the textbook. So it helps you to organize the structure of the contents. Then specific point, if you want to know more, you can read the textbook. You can just borrow the textbook from the library, or you can get one. I think buying it in Taiwan is still reasonable, maybe 1,000. Yeah, but if you bought it in the US, it's probably 3,000, 4,000, 6,000, like easily over 100 US dollars. Okay, so that's the textbook. I put a few references just for you to compare. Okay, so the first one is Chong Park. Uh, and doesn't matter which year it was published. Again, as I said, that the contents, from my perspective, it cannot be changed because it's a very basic um, principle of computing the value of the money. So it doesn't change. I think the newer version of the text will have more up-to-date cases, examples, more relevant to the recent development, and maybe different homework problem, so that you can feel that it's more relevant to your area. Also put a Chinese version of the or Chinese translation of the engineering economy book, just in case that you want to cross check. Because if we talk about some, for example, tax, if we talk about local economy, it's related to local law, local local description. So you can still sometimes reference, particularly for Taiwanese students, you can still reference some Chinese contents, understanding how these English terms are used in Chinese terms. For example, there's a nominal money, and there's a real money. Right? Nominal, real. What does it mean? What does it mean in Chinese? Okay, you can probably read the Chinese version of the translation. Okay, so far so good. Okay, so and there were a few cases that, particular one case that I took from this book is about, this is an article, Dell Computer Corporation. Okay, we'll look at that too. Where Dell Computer was trying to develop their new notebook, and there were some decisions that they need to make using certain kinds of battery. One kind is very risky, but potentially very profitable, but it has risk. The other is very mature, but chances are the market will not be too good for it. So the Dell Computer need to make the decision. Okay, so that was a case where we can use engineering economic uh, analysis to help making comparison. For the class, we'll have, let's just say, midterm or final exam, just one written exam. Okay, because some part of the contents can be tested in class, but some part of them require running computer. So running computer part uh, will be used for the project. Okay, in class exam will be testing more conceptual, simple calculation parts. So it's more of the earlier part of the lecture. And it will be a closed book exam. That is, you cannot bring your book, but you can bring an A4 double-sided so-called cheat sheet. Okay, that's official term. It's not. So basically, you can write as fine as detail of the contents you feel important for the exam or for the learning. and you can bring it, you can reference to that. Okay, writing or creating a cheat sheet is also a good exercise. Even when I was as a PhD student, our exams, like qualifying exam, or closed book, but you can bring cheat sheet. So I have to spend a lot of time deciding what contents I want to write on the double-sided A4 cheat sheet. Okay, that's for a few subjects with one exam. So for engineering economy, you can probably write everything on the cheat sheet. But writing them again, I feel that it's a good exercise. When you write, you remember. Right? You read some contents, you sort of have some impression. You try to memorize. That's another enhancement. When you write it down, then that's an additional enhancement. So you will probably, and you organize the contents rather than just read them sporadically. So that will be also helpful. So I feel that is a good exercise. Otherwise, I could also give you a closed book, totally closed book exam. Okay, but the problem will be easy in that way. With the cheat sheet, the problem will be a little bit more difficult. But I think it's a good exercise. So that's what I choose to do. And we'll have two homework. Okay, just helping you or making sure that you know you have no problem with the contents that we provided or we taught in the class. So the homework will be given in 1 week, and you have probably 1 to 2 weeks, depending on whether or not we have classes the following week. So I said that the next class time. And we'll form groups, but mainly for the project. For the project is quite open. Topics are open. It should be engineering economic problem. There should be a problem. For example, recently what we were doing, I can give you, a few examples. One will be buying or, well, it is a business model. A manufacturer, they can sell the product to the customers, or they can rent the product to the customer, or in different ways. Right? So we want to calculate whether or not, or how to price the services, or how to price the product so that the manufacturer can be beneficial. But we also need to think from the customer's perspective, whether or not they want to buy the product, or if the manufacturer provides this rental or similar services to the customer, whether or not it is attractive to the customer. So it's not just the manufacturer say, oh, I want to sell at a certain price, or I want to rent it to customers. And just from manufacturer's perspective, you also need to think from customer's perspective. Or another research that we have been doing recently is about offshore wind turbine for renewable energy. So still, when wind turbine companies provide us certain solutions, including hardware and different relevant financial arrangement, so we need to compare whether or not which one is more beneficial to us. And it is also related to the location and so on. So they will come up with the best way, I think, is still like levelized cost of energy for every, say, kilowatt hours, how much cost it is. So you need to find the right basis for comparison. Okay, so that is also another problem. that could be a project, or Dell Computers case will be a good project topic too. You just need to find the engineering economy problem. You need to collect data. I think collecting data could be an issue, and you want to make sure that you have a reasonable engineering economic decision problem. And then you go through the analysis, then you will get a result. And as I said in the syllabus, for the project, you need to have a viable engineering economic problem, and you need to go through detailed analysis, rigorous engineering economic analysis, including all the factors. In the end, whatever choice you made, you may still want to provide managerial insight. Okay? So that will be the project, and project should be conducted with groups, each group consisting of no more than 4 students. Okay, you can have 2. Chances are you don't want to do it by yourself. So you can have 2, 3, 4. Okay? And the grading will be based on these 4 parts: class attendance, homework, midterm exam, and project. So project, if you spend enough time working on the project, so I think it's quite safe. Homework, yeah, homework you can also discuss among yourself. You can ask TA or Dr. Snow and me. So I think if you work carefully on the homework, it should also be quite safe. Okay, and class attendance, as long as you attend the class and so on, I think it's also good. Midterm, that will be probably the most uncertain part. So what we intend to do will be, again, for the labs, Thursday afternoon, although for local students you are not required to attend, but every time after you submit your homework, you can at least join the lab, because we are going to go through the homework problem during the lab. Okay. And you can always join the lab and ask questions if you have any. Of course, there are other times you can also ask questions. Okay. And there's no prerequisite, meaning that there isn't any classes that you need to take before you can take this course. But we use spreadsheet as a tool. I think in the past I was a spreadsheet. I think now we can simply say we'll use Excel. I think most of people are not using any other spreadsheet software. Okay, but the training will be provided if you are not familiar with it. I think most of people know how to use the spreadsheet, just that there are functions that you may still need to get familiar with. And as I indicated, that we'll have Dr. Snow sometimes helping some part of the lecture, and we'll have 3 teaching assistants for 2 classes. But for the lab, I think they will all join. It'll be Kyra Zheng. She's a 2nd year master student in our department, and she and Yang Peng, who is the 1st year graduate student. Both of them will be helping up more on the civil and construction engineering students. And Dr. Snow and Molly, Molly is a 1st year graduate student, will be helping out with the industrial engineering, industrial management department students. Okay, so for classes, you can probably focus on your corresponding teaching assistant. For the lab, they will all join to help. Okay. We only have one lab. We have two classes, but the two labs will join together, forming just one lab. That's the arrangement of the school. And lab time, just in case you don't know, is Thursday afternoon from 1:20 to 3:10. Right. Is it correct? 2 o'clock, 2 to 4. Okay. Yeah. I think 2 to 4 is the schedule that the department asked me to put down. That's because I'm supposed to join the departmental meeting from time to time. Okay, but I think we can start from 1:20. Okay, because it will be mostly you helping out with the labs. Okay, so that we won't cover like three class time. So 2 o'clock is it's unofficial. Well, it's official by the department, but we can start at 1:20. Thanks for the alert. Okay, so for the class schedule is probably quite uh, apparent here. Uh, we have uh, this week, which I'm going to a little of overview, and it will be recorded and put on the Moodle platform. And because the semester has already started, although students haven't arrived, but we still need to find a way to conduct lab session. So on Thursday, before 1:20, our teaching assistant will also record some information about how we are going to conduct for the lab sessions. Okay, so I think students can go on to Moodle platform, which I haven't used before. So you have to try to find the information, relevant information. And for the next week, although for student having classes on Monday, it's a holiday, right? It's a makeup holiday for February 28th. So next Monday, they will not be classes. So what we'll do is again I will just record my introduction on financial statement and ratio and basic information so that you can still watch because it will be for both classes, Monday and Tuesday classes. Okay, you can go on to Moodle and can watch the pre-recorded classes. And from March 8th, and for the rest of the semester, it's still a little bit uncertain. For sure, I think 8th, 15th, and 22nd, it will be online. Whether or not it will be synchronous or asynchronous classes, I haven't really decided yet. Okay. Chances are, if we want to do synchronous classes, I will try to have the synchronous classes for both classes at the same time, so that I don't need to go through this online recording twice. It's a little strange of doing recording twice. I mean, having recording is so that it can be used for many times, but we'll do the announcement next time. Okay, or we will post the information on the Moodle platform. Otherwise, next week is quite easy. Just go online and watch the video. And 8th, 15th, and 22nd, haven't decided yet. And we don't know when our Paraguay students will actually arrive. Right now, they are scheduled to arrive on March the 3rd. Oh, departing from Paraguay on March the 3rd, arriving on March the 5th. So you add 21 days, it will be March 26th before they can get out of the quarantine, and they may arrive on the 27th, which will be 2 days or 3 days before the class time, and hopefully they can join the class. Then will be physical classes. Chances are they may still have some changes, and the rest of the semester will be just following the schedule. Okay. And these topics are just topics from the PPT or from the textbook. These are the key topics. The financial statement may not be that relevant to engineering economics, but it's used a lot for the accounting or for finance. Cost and cost estimation, particularly for engineers. We need to control the cost. For finance people, they are more concerned with well, you can say everything, but I think they are more concerned with revenue because they have no control on cost or less control on cost. For industrial engineering, industrial management student, our responsibility is controlling the cost. So we need to know how to estimate the cost and control the cost. For civil and construction engineering students or the discipline, they also need to concern about cost because they are engineers. They deal with physical product, physical equipment, so that they can finish their engineering work. So they need to be able to know the cost and cost estimation. What kinds of costs? I think the most typical myth about opportunity cost is something not real, just a concept. But opportunity cost should be considered as a real cost. And usually we use opportunity cost for different comparison. And time value of money is the essence of engineering economy. Time value of money. Time does impose change on the value of the money. Right? In the real world, time does. The longer you get the same amount of money back, chances are it possesses less value. So you want to recover the cost, recover the money as quickly as possible. Otherwise, you are losing the value of the money. And equivalence is basically there are different kinds of alternative, different kind of financial arrangement, and we want to find the equivalence so that you know you have the right basis for comparison. And you have a very different cash flow and want to convert one into another, and they should be so-called equivalent. Okay, that equivalence is very, very important. Not difficult, just that so that you know. And then you need to do comparison of different cash flow. So there are different methods. You can use very basic benefit cost ratio, or you can use this present worth, future worth, annual worth. You can do some break-even analysis. And they should be like rate of return, payback period, different kind of issues, different kind of tool that you can use to summarize very complex cash flow, so that you have a single value and you can compare. All these methods should basically give you the same decision, except for ratio. Right? Whenever you have ratio, it's very easy to understand, but it's difficult to compare. Right? You invest $1, you make $1. Wow, 100% return, but that's only $1 return. Somebody invests 100, get 50, but your opportunity is only $1, return $1. So in terms of ratio, it's higher, but in terms of the actual money that you earn, it's less. So that we need to be aware of. And usually when we make decision, we are dealing with something called mutually exclusive project. Mutually exclusive project. And we only choose one. But we may also deal with a combination of project. We have limited amount. We have budget. I think usually we call that capital budgeting problem. We have $10 million, NT dollars. We want to invest on different things. These different investment require different installment, and then their payback will be different. But you are limited with the budget, and the combination is in fact a lot. So usually when we do capital budgeting, rather than mutually exclusive project is quite straightforward. Individual one, you can compare them, or even compare the difference, one minus the other, so that the result will lead you to choose the first one or the second one based on the value of the difference. And along the way, engineering economics is a very practical subject because it will be used. If it's just theory, then there's no use of engineering economy. It will have to be used. So we'll consider a lot of practical issues. For example, depreciation. Product will depreciate, but product depreciation is the functional depreciation, the true value depreciation. But from the engineering economics perspective or from an accounting perspective, depreciation can be virtual, allocated, so that it will influence your tax. Okay, and tax law will be quite different for different countries. And later on, we'll talk about developing project cash flow. We'll talk about inflation. Right? Inflation. Inflation is also another factor which influences the true value of the money. After inflation for 20 years, right, the money that you have cannot buy the same thing. And in the end, we'll talk about, it's still quite early, risk management, sensitivity analysis, and decision tree. And replacement decision, buy, repair or refurbish, repair or replace. Choices of MAR, minimum attractive rate of return. That's the basis for the comparison. How should we choose it? Meaning that a bigger one or the smaller one. I talked about capital budgeting just now, meaning that we only have certain capital to make investment. It's not unlimited. So we are concerned by the capital, and we have many choices, a combination of choices that we can mix together to invest. And there is also this issues that I took from a supply chain management book. It's called risk sharing, okay, which could be also helpful. And we'll do project presentation on June 7th. Again, June 14th will be another holiday. It's the 端午节rice dumpling festival. Okay, so that would be a holiday for the Monday classes, and June 21st will be the final exam. We don't have classes. Our school also adjusted the semester schedule from 18 weeks to 16 plus 2. So we are still getting used to how we should do. But we also have another break in the beginning of April. It's the we don't call it spring break anymore, but it is more like a spring break. It's by April Fool's Day, Children's Day, and Tomb Sweeping Day. Okay, those 3 days and other days combined together for 6, 7 days. So for Monday classes, we'll have like 3 holidays this semester. Okay, we'll see how that goes. Okay, we'll probably adjust the schedule a little bit, but that's pretty much it. Here where I'm just indicating that we're going which chapter or which PPT from which page to which page for the contents, and I will probably review the PPT one more time before putting them one by one onto the Moodle platform so that you can reference to. Okay, and I also put lab here. Right now we don't have specific contents, but earlier I put say lab homework 2, meaning that in that lab session, our TA will explain or go through the homework problem in great details so that you can understand. If you have a question, you can ask. Again, there's not much variation of the contents, so it should be quite easy to focus on the contents and learn it. However, there are some conceptual issues that may confuse you so that others cannot catch up. So again, for you, although you're not required to attend labs, but whenever you have time, you can just join. Okay, for the homework, I think yes.
The TM record the lab on Thursday because I have other class on Thursday afternoon.
Oh, okay.
I still want to listen about, especially for 1 and for 2.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I think that can be arranged. Yeah, yeah. Okay, you can also remind us just in case we forgot. Okay.